Review 18. How are we doing? This is a series where I go over all the things I reviewed previously and review them. And in the description, I list everything I talk about, but only link the ones that are still relevant or their replacements. So, where are we? We're still 4 years ago. We are starting off with the Ether Flows and Flow C. So those are my Ether C flows. So Financial Crisis Inbound was the title. And oh yeah, I still love those things. I never fucking birds being happy and shit. I never upgraded them. Hold on, 25-minute clock go. I never upgraded them to the 1.1 because frankly, I could get it if it's a technical performance thing for like specifically getting linear and you want to update it. But I just like the way they sound by default. Like I don't understand a lot of times people are like, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that to something that I already like it? Even the Civica Phoenix, we were like, why don't you change the pads to new pads? I'm like, but I really like the Civica Phoenix pads currently. So I never upgraded them to the 1.1. They need to change some dampening and stuff. So are the Ether C flows still worth it? Yes. Yes, they are. Vintage AKG K240s, 600 ohm. These were the hardest headphones I had to drive. And might still be. I don't have them here to test, obviously, or I'd throw them on the Class A VMV, which is currently powering the Mica RB42s, in case you didn't notice, is a slightly... There's a limit to your love. We're doing testing here. They were very good, but so hard to drive it was impossible. Like, I will not be linking those in the description. AKG... Only a handful of them are actually like in my possession. Like K712s are great. K7XX are great. Every time I turn this video on to do a review, I start yawning. What is that? What is that mental? Someone who studies psychology knows why I do that. You tell me. So yeah, no. Yes, they were great, but they were so hard to drive and they're so uncomfortable and they're so old. It's just not worth it. But, you know, if you used them back in the day, if you had AKG K240s, congratulations, you had decent headphones. Z review for the Beyer Dynamic DT 880. Okay. German made for $200. I've done 3 different 880s. I think these were the first. These were the standard 880s. They're not closed back, but like the black back. Then there's one with the grills. And those were like the DT 880 Pros or something. And then finally the DT 880 600 ohms. And they were all just average until I got to the 600 ohm. So I could link these, or I could link the 600 ohm in the description, because they're fucking great. They take a lot of power. In fact, that's going to be fun to play on the 8 Class A. But yeah, no, Beyer Dynamic did not fuck up. I think the 880s are probably the most consistent of their series. Because I didn't hate any of them. One of them had like blown drivers, and I still gave it a pass. So that doesn't tell you something. Beyer Dynamic DT 1770. The Go. No, wait. These not the Go's? No, those are the 77X Go. These are the 1770s. So I love the 770s because they were V-shaped and they were closed and they were dark and they were a lot of fun to listen to. And the 1770 were treble, 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 always hardcore, treble. And I couldn't. Oh, God. I'm not tired. I just keep yawning at this. I feel like art. Just let me yawn. I'm just going to yawn for like 3 minutes and then I'll just come back. 1770. Here's what happened. I didn't like the DT 990. They were too much. And then the 1990 came out and I fucking loved them. So then the 770 I loved. And I figured the 1770 I would just be better. And I didn't like them at all. So go figure that one out. Because we'll get it to eventually a future point where it says 77X Go, and I like those again. The Woo Audio Y8 Eclipse, 2.5 pounds of pure audio gold. So this was a portable tube amp by Woo, which actually reminds me, I gotta take out their fucking, I have their other little hardcore amp that I love. It's so big. It's too big to be portable and too small to be like a desktop unit. And that was the problem with this. It was too big to be portable, but too small to be a desktop unit. I mean, it still worked as a desktop unit. It was like $1,500 something. And the only way I could figure out to use this amp was in a situation like I currently have here. I've got a fucking deck I could sit on or a front porch. I could put a little table there, set that down on it, hook my phone up to it with a USB cord, and plug some headphones in and have a little tube amp that I play out in the, just sitting outside. That's the only reason you buy that, if you're that asshole. In fact, if you go back and watch that review, I literally described my current living conditions in that, where you're just like some asshole who wants to listen to headphones outside and use a tube. That's kind of me. Like, I don't want to sit in here all the time listening to everything. Because outside, there's freedom, there's air, birds and shit. So that's the only time you'd pull out the Woo Audio Y8 Eclipse. Sony MDR-Z7s. So, I don't know what everyone's consensus is on Sony as far as headphones go, because MSR7s are like small, lightweight, very, very nice sounding, nice. And when you get to the more expensive Sonys, this and the ZR1s, Z1Rs, whatever the fuck one it is, they don't sound like an expensive headphone in the same way a normal expensive headphone sounds. They're more fun. They're darker, they're creamier, they're smooth. Smooth is the word there. And they have a place in the world, but I think everyone considers Sony headphones a joke. No one shows you their audiophile headphone lineup and then sitting in the middle is fucking the Sony ZR1s. Because it's like, yeah, but you can have fun headphones for cheap, so why would you get an expensive fun headphone? And I feel bad because I think fun headphones that are also expensive still count. In a way, the Meze Empyreans are kind of like a fun headphone that's also expensive, yet they get a pass because they're just exceptionally built. So I would put the Sonys like in that sort of like, they're not here to play with your fucking ZMFs, your Abyss headphones. They're here to play on their own little terms and make fun headphones that are just happen to be a little bit more expensive because they're well made. I mean, Fostex would even fit in that because like the 900s and the 909s are not exactly deadpan neutral. But, you know, they're fun headphones. They just are Japanese-made craziness, and those are Japanese-made, I think. Maybe the big ones are, not those. The Questyle CMA600i, high-end sex machine. I'm amazed this fucking video doesn't have a flag because I put the word sex in the title. In fact, it might have a flag on it because apparently you can't put the word sex, even though it's a joke. It's like, sex machine. It's not like, watch these YouTubers have sex. So, I don't know. YouTube's fucked. It could say that, but it can't type it in the title. Questyle sort of disappeared. It's 2021. Where's Questyle? Because they were making some killer units back in the day. Those were the, like, as top of the line as I thought you needed to go. They were expensive in like the $1,200 range. But I got like this Matrix audio here that's probably more expensive than that. Also beautifully built, by the way. And I felt like Questyle just disappeared from everyone's radar. And that one had a specifically Alexa on top because it was a demo unit. And like if they would have just like just embrace it. And like we have the Singzer, which is that's like $600. But then we have the head amp GSX Mini, which is $2,000. And this would have definitely fit in that lineup if they just made a Class A one. So I liked it. I did like the Questyle, but you can't get them anymore. Or at least I don't hear about them and no one's reached out to me and I'm just like, I guess they're gone? So we were literally going to scroll past them because there's nothing else to talk about. Monolith M1060s, and I love the little emoji dude flipping the table and it's just dollar signs. Because those were the first big affordable planar, like affordable planar that was big and comfortable and built like shit, sort of. That one has the MMCX connectors, like the IM connectors for the wire. This had lots of problems. But it was so revolutionary for its time that even if you had them today, like I don't know if I'd recommend you go out and search for a set of M1060Cs. M1060s, we'll get to the Cs. But just know that this was like the jumping off point that made all the other big companies, Audeze, ZMF never really makes big planars, but like Audeze certainly had to sort of pay attention because they were offering this for like $300. Later on, $250 and $200, but for $300, I was like, holy shit, this is a fucking huge planar. How is it? So it was, Hi-Fi Man was the other one they were competing against. And I mean, they're both Chinese, but it's like they just did something special with those, and I loved them. I eventually replaced that pair with the closed back version with the closed backs taken off because they had better drivers in the closed back version. They were just closed, so you just unclosed back them. And those are still on my wall to this day. With like $180 worth of mods on them, maybe more. Because they have the custom wood backs. We'll get to them. We'll get to it. The IFI iDSD Black Label Cord Killer. or chord killer, depending on how you want to say it. So this is still around the time that I was like a little bit upset that the Chord Mojo was a thing. So the IFI iDSD Black Label was like, what, 4 watts a channel? They're still around that like range of power. And I liked IFI because it had features. It had RCA outs, it had USB ins, it had the switches that did bass boost, and the switches that did 3D. So it was, I'm just going to link to IFI stuff because they still make excellent. The Diablo is an excellent example of what they could do with quality. And then if you switch it over to the what the fuck's the new one? iDSD, whatever the newest one is, it looks exactly like that. 3 years ago now, not 4, 3 years ago. We've broken a year barrier in episode 18. So yeah, do I recommend IFI stuff? Yes. Specifically that one? If you get it used for like $150, yes. You want something new and like that sort of form factor, they're like $600 units are superb. All right, AudioQuest NightOwl. What did I write? Not Top's Revenge. What the fuck, am I high? I mean, the Not Top's the thing from Watchmen. I love the movie Watchmen. So, I mean, maybe it's a good thing. The original Nighthawks were so different and so weird that I had to love them. Like it was a requirement. I signed a waiver. It says, I must love these. They're fucking weird. The Night Owls weren't as weird sounding, and that made them just not as desirable because they were closed back, and all they did was close like a little hole in the back. But the Night Hawks were never actually like fully open, so it was just like a weird meh. Still love the shape, still love the feel, still love the way they mounted the thing with the rubber bands. But it was just like, it never really captured my attention. Only a 20-minute video. Sometimes you could look back and see how long a video is and be like, oh, Zeos, what the fuck are you doing? You didn't even talk about it for half an hour. So So Shure contacted me. The first and only time Shure has contacted me and sent me anything. And then they asked for everything back. Because fuck. Because I would use that shit today. The Shure MV series microphones. They had the big one, the little one, and the one that was just a phono pre, like a, not phono pre, but like a mic pre interface. And they're all made of like hewn aluminum, which is like weird and lovely. Like that one looked like a squish tennis ball. That one was like smaller than a tennis ball. That was like I have a thing against the Blue Yetis and stuff of the world because they're so big. They just take up like this, like it shouldn't be this big. There should be no reason for a microphone to be the size of a softball. And that was just like a tennis ball on a stick. And it was great. And this one, which was the more expensive one, I mean, it had weird features and like setting up presets for like, I want to record a piano or a guitar. And 99% of people are not using it for that. If you're going to record instruments, you're going to buy a more expensive mic setup than those. It was like $100 and then $200 or $150. And that thing was like another $100. So I absolutely recommend the little Shure ball microphone. I think it was the MV5, maybe. If I can find it, I'll link it in the description. Because it was still a great desktop microphone. It looked like a microphone. It sat on the desk like a microphone. It had mount options to put on like things like this. And it just, no one cared. 15,000 views in 3 years. 15,000 views in 3 years on my channel. Like everything gets, the Sony sound demo gets 23,000. How did these microphones not like, they were just so fucking conveniently small. All right, moving on. Sound demo, sound demo, sound demo, sound demo, sound demo, sound demo. Oh my God, the Ohm Walsh best speakers ever. I haven't edited that out because I want people to understand that why they may not be the best speakers ever anymore. Like I've heard things at audio shows and things that have like, oh my God, the detail and the depth. And there's nothing quite like an omnidirectional. And these are in my bedroom currently over there. They're that way because they require a room. And this house, oddly enough, doesn't have any rooms. It's got a giant fucking chasm, which is the worst audio space in existence, where they actually were kind of able to do something special, but they just weren't big enough. And the basement has soft ceilings, so you can't even use reflections off the ceiling. Those need corners. They need to be boop and have a ceiling and corners to reflect the sound out of. And then they transform the space into this, just the whole space becomes a speaker. And I never heard back from them for like a bigger set. I'm gonna have to see. I think they literally had an AOL email account, and I'm like, I don't think this works anymore. But I need to get in touch with them and see if they'll send me a huge set, something that I could deal with my fucking great room. with the entire fucking space out there, 5 billion cubic feet. Because omnidirectional speakers should not be compared to regular speakers. If I change this to best omnidirectional speakers ever, that would probably still stand true. Because they were omni semi-directional. The tweeters pointed forward and up to sort of like crisscross in front of your face, and the 8-inch driver fired all around, and it had enough low end. And yeah, no, these speakers legitimately are in my bedroom, and they're hooked up to the Alox GA30, which doesn't exist anymore. We're waiting for that to come back in stock. And they're hooked up to my Alexa, and when I ask it the weather, it comes out of Ohm Walsh's. And when I'm like, hey, shuffle a little Snoop Dogg, it comes out of Ohm Walsh's. And if I'm in bed and I'm having a sweet, sweet, sexy time, which I'm never doing because quarantine, I could be like, Barry White, motherfucker, right now, and it'll come out of Ohm Walsh's. So where are the Ohm Walsh's? In my bedroom. And I couldn't think of a better spot for them, honestly. Because for like home theater and directionality, I've got the heresies and stuff. But those, beautiful. Moving on. Sound demo, sound demo, sound demo, sound demo, sound demo. Chewbacca in the Ohm Walsh 2000 sound demo. 61,000 views. Sound demo, sound demo. Oh, my Samsung 4K 40-inch 60 hertz extreme gaming monitor, 110.15 ppi 16:9 ultra light 420 no scope 2160p, which is the title of that video, and it is the monitor we're looking at right now. I'm pretty fucking like, I would like to do a dual monitor setup of 40-inch displays, because when you have a 4K, when you have a 40-inch, here, what can I open up? Which one of these is not? Like, here is a folder with all like things in it, and it's perfectly clear, and I could just put that there, and I still have like 90% of my fucking real estate. This is blown up to like the huge, because I'm doing it on video. But there's something about using a 4K display that actually has real estate for your computer, just for your computer. And most people, like when my friend was planning out the route for, we did the drives in the countryside. We drove around PA, we drove up to upstate New York. He opened up Google Maps all the way. And then you just left with the title bar, just like around the edges of things. And you have all of this, and it's just, it's so, and I know it's 60 hertz, and I know people are like, no, ZLs, you need 144 for gaming. And I can understand that if you're a fucking Twitch gamer, and I don't mean Twitch like the platform. I mean like Twitch, like I gotta play fucking, I need a CRT at 800 by 600. I need to be more fast. But if you just want to play a game, and there's a video of me playing a game, like this is basically where I'm sitting, which is an arm's length from a 40-inch display, is roughly what I get in like a VR headset. Because it's I see this much of the screen, and everything else is peripheral. And if you adjust it properly, it's fucking amazing. Even at 60 hertz, because people will come out of your fucking side, which is there or there, and you can still see the bottom, and you can still see the top. So do I like the Samsung monitor? Fuck yes, I do. Do I recommend it? Yes. My problem is they don't make 40-inch 4Ks anymore. No one makes them. They make 43-inch, which is the one that I have in the sunroom, which is the one that used to be on my sim racing cockpit, which is the first 4K monitor I used as a computer monitor.
Fill me up.
In a minute. Well, actually in, hold on, how many minutes? 6 minutes. So yes, the answer is fucking yes. And someone please bring back 40-inch 4Ks. Don't make me buy one on eBay, because I'm so tempted, because I could just put another one here. And then I would really have like this whole fucking space. Then I have no place with speakers though. But I mean, people who do dual monitors in like 28s, I'm like, what are you bothering for? Bruh. Do you know what half of this is? It's like two vertical. Oh, it's fucking great. I love it. The Audeze iSine 10 and 20. Tiny, convenient planar headphones. So I got a pair of those. And I love those pairs of those. And that was without using the dongle to plug in. There's an Apple-only dongle for some fucking reason, Audeze, you fucks. Instead of having a USB-C or Apple dongle at launch, they just had an Apple dongle. And it was to power these. They had a regular headphone jack, and you could plug them in, and I fucking liked them. But then Someone sent the frequency response graph, like a rough estimate of what it was doing with the little plug-in dongle. So they were DSP correcting it essentially. And I plotted those into one of my portable players, and it got so much better. And it was like extreme. It was like 9 decibels down here, 6 decibels up here. I needed like a 12-band equalization. But I'm like, oh my God, now they're worthy of the praise I gave them originally. The fact that they were open back planars that like stuck in your ears was wonderful. Oh, by the way, the GoldPlanar ones of those, I'm breaking them in down the basement. They're getting a review. I've had them for over a year. So do I recommend the Audeze iSine 10s and 20s? Probably not the 20s, because they were so similar to the 10s. I'm like, okay. There's also the light version of the 10s, which I forget what they were called. The Audeze just iSine Plus or something. That were even cheaper, and that was to compete with the monoprice ones that were the ripoff of those that were cheaper. And those were basically the iSine 10s, so I'd get those. So Zia's will link those in the description.
Fill me up.
Oh, I have to answer her in a second. We've got 4 minutes left. It doesn't matter. Why is my phone so fucking thing? Yay. But now, literally, I plugged in the GoldPlanars, the little fucking round ones, which I'll also link in the description. So yes, you're gonna have a fun time with this one. And I just put them in my ears. Like I didn't have tips on them. I just plugged them into the burn-in rig, and I put them next to my ears just to hear what's going on, to make sure the volume is right. And I'm like, oh fuck, because they might be the greatest thing ever, and I've been sitting on them for a year. And oh fuck, they're gonna be hard to stay in though. We got 4 minutes left. TR-70, TR-80, TR-90 Fostex. After the T40, T50, T60, I'm sure, no, T20, T40, T50. There was no T30. Don't know why. Fostex came up with a dynamic driver set of their headphones, and I gave them a pass. That's all they get. I tried desperately to like find the joy in them, but Fostex they couldn't pull off a dynamic set in 3 different like open back, semi-open, closed. They couldn't. I liked them, and I tried changing the pads. They changed the pads to big, thick pads because everyone had complained they were too small. But then they were still not easy to drive, and I never fell in love with any of them. Open, closed, semi-open. So if you have TR-Series, mod them, love them. I couldn't. They should have been so fucking. It would have been so nice if they're good. I get more upset when a headphone should have been nice and just wasn't. The SMSL AD18, king of the desktop / soundbar killer. I want to put in killer in the title. It can't because too many people like true crime. So there's probably like titles all over the place that are like the Arbor Day Killer or whatever the fuck they're talking about. I still have to recommend the AD18. I don't want to because there's better options, but they're not available. So the AD18 was like 80 watts per channel, and it had a subwoofer out if you fucking had an adapter for a 3.5 to RCA. And it was remote control, and it was small, and it had Bluetooth, blah, 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 blah. It was superseded by like the Topping MX3, which was the little speaker amp, but that was only 38 watts per channel, but it sounded better. And then it was superseded again by the Lox GA30, which is in my bedroom powering my Ohm Walshes. Could you imagine a little fucking unit powering the fucking 6 ohm Ohm Walshes to like loud? That's what the fucking Lox GA30 is doing. Guess what you can't buy? The Lox GA30. It's just out of stock forever. So I still, to this moment, have to recommend the AD18, even though I know there are at least 2 fucking things that are better. One is a little bit weak, and it's got a couple quirks that are like, which is the topping. And then the Lox G is like, blows it out of the water in every sense, but I can't find it. And I just reviewed the Sabage A10A, which is a speaker amp that sounds phenomenal and has a subwoofer out, but has a remote, but no digital in. So you'd have to buy a DAC, and it really won't do switching. So is it really competing with the AD18? Not really. I think I got asparagus. Oh no, I got a plant. Wow, that looks fucking wild. All right, I gotta get back to my girl with plants. The Baselet and Random stuff. The Baselet was a little wearable subwoofer. I remember reviewing that. It was interesting. See, that's like a cute thing. I don't get to do that anymore on my channel. Like no one well, people probably do offer me and I just ignore it because it's like, what are you telling me, China? Chinese email shows up. We have baby monitors. I'm like, eh. The Baselet strapped to your wrist and connected wirelessly to your music player or your wire. I forget how it even worked. That was a charger, I think. And it would literally just vibrate your wrist when there was like low end. And it made you have a feeling of like low end. And it would have been killer if there was two of them. If you could wear it on both wrists and have them both going. Because having it on one just felt annoying. But like the bass shaker chest rigs and stuff, I actually grasped the concept of it. I just wish they were implemented better. I don't know what the stuff was, by the way. Stuff was good. Yes. I don't want to ignore it. Oh, good. I'm going to stop that. All right, so we'll do one last headphone, and then we'll save. The next time will be the HPV one, which is not human papillomavirus. The Audeze EL-8C was an amazing headphone that nobody bought. Very heavy, apparently brittle, like the metal used to crack on them, but the wood was like laid out around it, and and you put them on, and it was like the most detailed. I remember going for a walk with those because that's how I used to test closed-back headphones. Every closed-back headphone is obviously a portable headphone, and they were so fucking heavy and sweaty, but they sounded so good that I ignored that fact, and that breaks Zeos's rule number one. Zeos's rule number one when he gets a headphone is you put it on. Here, ready? See this? This is a Grado hemp that's been slightly modified, and I'm going to put it on. Ready? I'm putting it on, and now I'm going to play nothing. Rule one of reviewing a headphone: is it comfortable? You don't find that out by wearing it and playing music. You find that out by wearing it and not playing music. Those were not comfortable when you just wore them like this. They were heavy and they were fucking off balance, and it was just. But my God, when you put them on, it distracted you from all those failings. They also had a weird flat wire that plugged into each. They had the most proprietary wire I've ever seen on a headphone. Like you couldn't even. It was literally a flat wire that you could reverse, and it had like the contacts on one side so you could reverse it. Like there's no reason to do that. But they did it. The end. That's the end of that story. So yeah, they had the titanium ones I never got to hear, which I think were obviously built better and lighter because it's titanium. I can't say I wouldn't recommend them because they sounded so good, but like, I think they were being marketed as like a portable because they had a short cable. And it's like, you don't give someone like a 4-foot cable. You can't use a 4-foot cable on your desk. You'd be pulling off shit off your desk. So that means you're selling me a fucking portable. And it didn't work for that. So that's it for today's Z review. Well, cute wallpaper, Sleepy Girl in the description. You can crop that and put on your phone if you felt like doing that too. Links to Patreon and Subscribestar, where you get to see reviews early. You get to participate in the yard sales from the 1st to the 10th of every month, where I sell items that have been sent to me or I've purchased or people have donated to the channel. You can join the $10 tier on either Subscribestar or Patreon to get to the behind-the-scenes private Telegram chat, where you can ask me any questions you want directly. That's really the only way to get to me, like guaranteed. There are public places and there are Discords, but if you really want to ask me questions, if you want me to like help assess your setup or give you buying advice directly, feel free to jump in that chat. There's a bunch of people there who are willing to help and throw in their 2 cents. And at least we have nice, kind arguments in there. And like that was where the MQA video was birthed, the anti-MQA video. And then Hi-Fi Guides and the Hi-Fi Guides forums. I'm going to start pushing those more. I'm going to start being there more. Because I really like, that's a whole other business that took care of itself. Like Z Reviews is Z Reviews, and that is not the forum for Z Reviews. That's its own entity that is just basically like anti every other headphone forum. I'm trying to keep it that way. I want it to be a place where I'm just thinking about expensive cables now and how like, well, if everyone can talk, then everyone can talk about how expensive cables are the best thing. And I don't want to like really push that mindset, but I think people who are there, they kind of fucking know. It's like, nah, I don't think you're right, but good. It's okay. You go sit in the corner with your $10,000 cables. Not to push anyone against, but we won't have sponsors that are $10,000 cables when we eventually have sponsors. By the way, very comfortable because I completely forgot I was wearing them. So apparently I build the best headphones. There you go. And yeah, that's it for today. And I'll see you with a normal video tomorrow and more review to come, as we are still 3 years away from the current date. And I haven't even switched to daily videos yet. Pretty sure the browser is going to crash when it has to load that many because I have to see them all. So goodbye and thank you, and I'll yeah.